The Kenya Bankers Association has published guidelines to aid banking customers on bank procedures. The Consumer Guide to Banking in Kenya comes at a time when the interaction between banks and customers has been deemed exploitative and shrouded in darkness. The umbrella body for banks is also setting up an arbitration committee slated to be in operations next year to resolve emerging differences between banks and their customers.
For many years, the relations between banks and its customers has been frosty at best. This has led to situations where customers have accused their banks of exploiting them by failing to offer full disclosure of banking products. The guidelines introduced by the Kenya Bankers Association outlines the rules of engagement between financial institutions and its customers, with banks now expected to be more transparent. This will include interest rates, penalties, and other bank charges that customers are otherwise not keen on.
As KBA, we recognize that banking is a complicated but necessary business. People have to deal with banks. Banks are regulated, they're governed by rules and regulations, there's contracts to be signed. So there's a lot of legalese legal requirements on both parties. And that's why people say banking is too complicated for me.
This guide was first developed in 2001. And between 2001 and now, the relationship between the consumer and the bank has completely changed in terms of the products that have come into the market, in terms of generally the evolution of the banking industry over the period. And so we found it necessary to incorporate some of those changes that have come into the industry in guiding the relationship between the customer and its bank.
Discontent customers have in the past had to seek legal redress to challenge the banks in areas where they feel aggrieved. KBA, however, says an arbitration committee has been formulated in consultation with the country's 43 banks. The committee will be the initial channel for customers to have their complaints heard and resolved.
If we can have a mechanism where the number of cases that eventually boil down to the courts of law can be reduced, that will go a long way in saving both the consumer and the bank a lot of money, and generally make the relationship much more smoother.
The guidelines will be key to restoring the confidence people have with their banks. Banks, however, have the luxury of implementing the guidelines to suit their banking strategies. Michael Karanja, KTN Business Today.